stood again. Unite our hearts in love to thee, and love to all who reign. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Yo, enuanom ne adɔfonom, enwumere yi, yɛwɔ da nwumere yi, yɛda Nyame ase paa sɛ wasan ama yɛn nyinaa akwanya biem. Sɛdeɛ mama ha na empire mu ɔkaeɛ no, Nyame ama wiem adwo fam nsuo nso nim sɛ yɛnya showers of blessings nti yɛde aseda ɛbɛma no. Nkakra yɛduru adesua a anaasɛ menka ne sɛ yɛ series no yɛduru like number 7 nti wohwɛ a 7 deɛ yɛka kyerɛ sɛ mu a ne taa gyina hɔ ma perfection nti nkakra yɛkɔ yɛ anim paa. Ɛnɛ Yesu su ho no ɔse I am hurting. Nneɛma ɛha me, nneɛma ɛtete me, nneɛma ahye me na ɛyɛ me ya. Sɛdeɛ ɔbɛka no biara no hurt ɛyɛ yɛsɛ ɛyɛ an open but silent cry in family relationship. Yɛhwɛ yɛabusua mu a saa adeɛ wɔ ɛsɛ sɛ nneɛma ɛhye yɛn no ɛyɛ a ɛtɔbere bi a yɛnim paa nanso na yɛwɔ su asa ɔyɛ ho hwee nyɛ yie na wohyɛ hɔ na wopra na ɛkum na ɛtetew. Nti ɛnɛ yɛbɛsrɛ Nyame nkyɛn adom sɛ ɔmmoa yɛn na yɛnte this whole concept of hurt ase na sɛ afutu baako bi anaa mmienu bi a yɛbɛtumi afa na aboa yɛn ama yɛn nyamesom aso nyani na afei yɛfie mu nso asomdwe aba hɔ a wɔde ama yɛn. Nti yɛda yɛn nyinaa ase, yɛda ɔno ɛbɔ mpaeɛ ne ɔno edi dwuma no nyinaa ase. Ansa na yɛbɛtoa so no ne akɔ mu no mɛsrɛ sɛ baabi ɛwɔ biara no moma yɛnsie kyerɛ ase na yɛnsrɛ Nyame nkyɛn adom ebiem. Nyame a woyam ye na wadɔ yɛ dɔɔso yɛda wase anwummerɛ nso yɛwɔ ada anwummerɛ yi wode adesua foforɔ ɛsan abɛma yɛn yɛda wase deɛ na wɔtwe mu nyinaa wode ma yɛn fa yɛabusua ho. Obotae paa yɛsɛ yɛn nyinaa yɛabusua bɛyɛ ɔsoro ketewa ɛwɔ asase yi so ne yɛbɛnya anigye happiness, genuine happiness. Nti ɛberɛ a yɛbɛbie w'asɛm yi mu yi yɛde ɛho ɛhyɛ wo nsa, yɛde akoma ɛma wo, yɛde adwene ɛma wo sɛ ma ho nkronkron no mmra yɛn nkyɛn na ɛnane dane yɛn na yɛnya nneɛma a ɛbɛtumi aboa yɛn ama yɛabusua yi ayɛsɔ w'ani ayɛ ɔsoro yɛfie ayɛ efi papa. Ɛda wase mesrɛ sɛ fame ɛhyɛ w'asɛnnua n'akyi na wɔaka wo nsɛm kyerɛ wo ma na afei ɛmmoa yɛn asase yi so wɔ Yesu din mu. Amen. Amen. Yo. Pacho motemenka ase.
Etonka.
Okay. Oh. Pacho insan enye ni bi mase. Okay. Yo, enti ene de yeka ho asem so de sika ye no. O se I'm hurting. Hurt eye den na ekwan ben so na efa so eboa yen. Ema yenti ase aye wo no etimi boa yen ewo ye fie mu. Ema ye fie eye osoro ketwa. Mama nhyɛ ase with a few stories. There are about 5 people, almost stories. Dedi kan eye papa bi a ye frɛ no Mr. Adair. That's why Mr. Adeyi oyobia or mamienu na yire so on be in the 40s. Oye dwuma eboa ne fie na busua. In fact, we a family man or care for the family eye. Na dakro one ne yire enya kasakasa kakra. They had a few misunderstanding. Ewo fie. Na some misunderstanding na kasakasa eto aso ama ne very heated. But Mr. There ewo problem kakra eba ne kokoa ya na onte nya botre wo niema ho. Enti what happened ne say akasakasa ni mu no. Ema ne tene ne nsa ehya ase se obo ne yire. Na ebra ebro ne koso na ne baba ko ejina ho ne bapa ne ejina ho no onhu de wonye. Nti okọ ho sase de wo yese de wo pattern ade no. Na enam se na abufuo no ahye Mr. There so bebre ni nti no. Obo no efra ne yire no. Eyesa na obi epono na okap no hwe mu na okotena ne ka mu se wo firi fie kakra because why so tensed ewo niema ho. What he didn't know eyese bra entokwa no koso no a wo bo to ne nsane ade no we pra ne yire pa seriously e pra ne ba ne nso. Inti omo ye bre na omo free ambulance ba ho mbe fa omo ede omo call ye na omo san free police because omo hande asem no to the police. The tentin ni tietia mu nyina na ye say ye beche Mr. There for domestic abuse. Ye de ne to prison for about 6 months. Ye yi no ye man restraining orders se ma wonko efie ho biem. Se na wushia Mr. There na sa won ne kasa, he is very hurt, deeply hurt. Adentia on kaisa de woye no is the issue. The main issue ni say how can oba makbe wari we free Ghana me na me be krum ha first ina mabe fawo edwa bahase indi se kasakasa na bibia ba yentemu a adenti na wame ya be famia ye de makoto prison because of sad day we say nintino odwen se na yire no has been unfair or you ungrateful. Enti woni Mr. There kas ehia na samo kasa ba akumienu a ohipu insults ene niema bebre egu na yire ne so. She is a very very hurt man. Mr. There no mama menka mi sister Akosua enso ho asem. Sister Akosua eye obi a oba UK obi invited no oba as a visit no betena mu for about 20 years no onya nkrata ba say 15 years menka na sa eho baabi ina onya nkrata na odekọ ware nikunu ena msa na oni nkrata enti okobo besia na ode ye niema kakra na otimi di nikunu baaye nikunu bedru ha sei omote ho aware yi koso nkakra emfie miensachi Akosua esore dakora se nikunu no etwantro akire no boni beka se wachiti on her nikunu no wo a 2-year-old son ewo kromu ha sei ama eka okobo ye no oda sutua nikunu ne se oba no eye sister Akosua enye oba ye ne netena ebobra enti wa ja efie ho wa hwim obi anim na chire kwan so woni sister Akosua hia no wo su okana semu a no wo su eye ne se oba kroma se no ye young into mfie kakra wa nanim eye ne se ne life nyina has come to a halt. She is deeply hurt and eye ne se she can never overcome sa situation or woman because bosome so na so obre ne ho aye adwuma na so de kotua sa ekai a sebe na so mo ka ne ye se metua enkwase aka adan ena nipa eye me sei. Sister Akosua edie no mamenka sister abofra wedi 7 years a friend of Boatima eye abofra se de meka ye no one ne papa ene ne maame na tie na ne papa ne maame no omo ye nipa a omo wo problem kakra ewo enuro ho. Meka enuro, I'm talking about drugs. Ewo mu so mo ya kwanhwefo de, but they admit say it's something that they have a problem with. So when Boatima eshia, you will never see her so was re. Adentia, if we say a true situation be a omo bo akola no, omo tietia no, chese di omo ye no. Social service for abemua try so be ya akola na free ho, but reasons ne so obvious. So be good case e dey na free ho. Inti akola no is enduring this difficult situation. She is hurting. Usu, I said she is caught up in a certain web. 7-year-old abofra. The last two I may come who has embarked a friend Esi. Esi ya wunu krom ha say 26-year-old where we university. Unya a second first job or ye adwuma no unya a better job no call ye. Adwuma na nam so we hard working to okunu ho eye adwuma e wadwuma mu ho. COVID-19 eba ye na adwuma no eye se ombe downsize because omuntimi eka no nti ombe yi nipa no ebi. The only problem esi ewo eye se na adwuma mu ono nko na eye bibini ewo ho. Ewom ne qualification do so chen bebre de adwuma wo ye no okunu ho sometimes. Then ni kwan so okwadwuma kura no volunteer okwadwuma wo che okune ho. But the boss friend said they don't want her anymore. Say na ushia esina so ne kasa da bia no wosugu ne yam. Adentia, how can I sacrifice my life and my reward makatua say I can only cry. And the last one, Amidi Eka ya ne ho asem, Mensa. Mensa a 14-year-old boy. 14 years. But when hune papa into one stepfather in a tier. The stepfather juma nanso on care about Ebusiano. Ebusiano kwala 9 in a womb, Mensa in a penny. And I'm say on care, papa non care for and kwala ni nyina ntino amama ameno part-time. But unfortunately, because of papa nisika what your friend say household income ntino. And Ebusiano qualify for benefit biya. I might try so many cancel bekasa, but still they don't get any support. Mensa is caught up in the system. So when the Mensa is here, we admit say in fact, not long ago, he was only spared yeche no ade na komo de no ohun de wonye osina ne subire no tina onam shop bi anim owura mu ko wi aduane di e ma yeche no. But omo de chair no please or ka say e come de me, I just wanted something to eat. Mensa is hurt in the life. There be our junior papa who say, if only my dad cared. Senka me papa, me stepfather, edwene me ho kakra bia. Ebianki enko situation aye woman. What is your life story? Senka ye busa wo bia na nkiyema wo bia so one kind of life story and we will hear a lot. But one thing is sure, one thing is certain. I've just given you, and some of me can't be anywhere a year. I didn't make them up. These are real life stories. And the man say most of these people are making they are going through a lot. This is what we call hurts. Hurts. Their story. Painful. What here now you want to do something? But the question is, what can you do? You see, you can't hurt. May you so hurt instead of some cancer at a 10 year. What I'm referring to, in fact, say you can't see more. The word hurt, you can't be a complex, a complex experience. that cause pain and injury. Bibia ema oyaw ankasa anase ema pra na eya na enye comfortable enye ade nipa bia no epe. In fact suffering, distress, hardship, just ahokyere menka ne saa wenum nyina no saa experience bibia wukomu bia etisese no na ye frɛ no hurt. Na deɛ baako a ɛwɔ hurt ɛho ɛyɛ sɛ ɛwɔ two main pillars. Deɛ di kan ɛyɛ sɛ it is either physical or non-physical. Physical kyerɛ sɛ wo nipadua no ɛyɛ biribi a emia no ɛ affect you na ɛde pain aba wo nipadua nti wo feel stories ameka ye bi wɔ hɔ a hurt no yɛ because nipa no yɛ bono ɛkɔm de no or go through physical situation a ɛma no yaw ɛne atete. Deɛ ɛtɔ mmienu ɛyɛ sɛ it could be non-physical ne kyerɛ sɛ ɛyɛ emotional, mental. Ɛnyɛ biribi a ɛyɛ te sɛ pra a wo feel sɛ ɛpra physically say, but wadwene mu wunya saa atete na how nti the two pillars a ye focus on ɛnɛ ɛno no ɛnyɛ no nkodeɛ bia ne ebetimi ate aka ho. Yɛse ɛnura sɛ mokae a ibra yɛ conflict ne yɛhunu sɛ conflict lead to stress. Na stress ɛyɛ nneɛma a ɛboa wo nipadua no ma ho sɛ biribi kɔ so wo nipadua no na deɛ ne nyɛ nti ɛsɛ wo yɛ biribi fa ho. Saa na hurt ɛnso akɔyɛ, but ɛnyɛ hurt a ɛboa yɛn ma yɛ protect yɛn ho, ɛma yɛn that protective mechanism. Na afei ɛboa yɛn ɛma yɛbɔ yɛn ho ban free pra ɛne yaw ho no ɛnyɛ no ho asɛm na yɛka. Yes, hurt etimi ɛkɔ so saa, but we are talking about yɛka hurt a ɛyɛ obi na ɛsi ne bo anase ɔyɛ a ɛtete wo a yɛbetimi avoid, yɛbetimi prevent ɛno ho asɛm na yɛka. Adeɛ baako a yɛnim wɔ hurt ho no yɛ sɛ yɛn nyinaa yɛsɛ wɔ baabi a yɛn nyinaa no yɛ experience bi ɛyɛ either sɛ wo na wo cause, so you are the source of the hurt. Nti your friend say perpetrator, wo na wo hurting nkrɔfoɔ anase obi ya we are the we are the target ɛba wo so, we are the victim of it. Nti da bia no ɛnɛ nyame boa wɔ kyena de akyi yɛn a we will go through different types of this. Either sɛ wo na wo yɛ obi anase obi ɛde yɛ wo. Na sɛdeɛ tie bia no there is a response ɛkyerɛ sɛ woyɛ biribi fa ho. Ɛkwan a wobɛfa so ayɛ biribi afa hurt ho sɛ obi na de yɛ wo anase wo na wo de yɛ obi no, especially so obi na de yɛ wo a wo na yɛ the target a or response a wobɛma no it depend on nneɛma bi. Ebi te sɛ ɛkwan a ɛfa so tete wo ebi a wunyine yɛ wo environment a wo culture a wunyine mu, wow, the way I would do mindset ɛne sɛ deɛ wo sitie. Mama example, me kai say ebra na me wo school, there was one day me kwa sorry bi ɛwɔ West Accra, western part of Accra, na Accra West area ho. Na adeɛ baako a ɛshoko me ya dance a abayewa bi bedi. Na dance ni nyinaa ne yɛ sɛ mo a monim nkran sɛ wonim nkran traffic a Asamoah make am bɛte ase. Na ne deɛ nyinaa ne yɛ sɛ one day okokrom in our call circle station ho na or train car ten or train trotro line ten we diso saa na nsuo start say eto na dance ni nyina na yese nsuo ne tobo no ansa na wonya ka mu atena na wo de bedru in fact ema awode no kakra na fe wosuro ani ade na mete ho na mebisa me ho say wow. Well, maybe I will answer because we don't know the upbringing, but I would really struggle. Say, a dance here, all year, said, said you see, can was in who soon enough in the Yamshin near the way we exaggerate. I don't know. I need just because in Seattle, Abo was circle. yes or no upbringing no sa ensio na wo enya wo hwe no ono de e hete no e het e ma na ya tete ma no into the response bibia gradually ha no e ma no pains e ma no yi enti these are some of the things that eniema e course e kwan fa so respond but said esi tie bia no ade ba ko e wo se ye hye ne nso e wo mu ye se ye busua mu no e wo mu se wentimi antu eho anamon yie e wo abusua mu a enkakra ebesei wabusua emma wani die da. The sweetest type of heaven ayeka ho asem this week and you will never experience it in your family if you don't pay particular attention to it. So when to ho anamon that's when tie ehunu kwan befa so amanage ni yie a ede wo beko ana de abusua ni nyina ebeko ohaw kese mu. And the question is, how should we deal with hurts in our families? How should we avoid being perpetrators? And where do we start? And I think, the best place to start, see a better see a better Yankopon Asamoah de Amayen, any tresem. With him, a brave Paul, to Colossae Asafonofo, was sending a message to the Colossian church. Okay, Colossians chapter 3 is one of my favorite passages in the Bible. Now, Asamoah Okanono or refer to the family. Now, Otto Boase kind from verse 18 now or say or shall share with the wife or can will be a weakness. No, I can near ma obetimi a year I be hurt people in the family. Into what started with a ma or say wives, our refor submit. Ya can submission one same this week into me can one same or say submit to your husband. Said the obeya menyame. No, I can mema dear mema. Momu problem love because enam se mon no nintino motete mo you hurt your wives because you cannot or you have a weakness in loving them. Some more do wo no inti mon sorting it out. We are no abankwala children mo de ye aswoden ene a certain amumuade lack of obedience into say obey your parents in everything. Now, the question is, yes, obey your parents in some things. For this pleases the Lord. Now, if waba fathers, we Greek now say pata no, papa. But yes, to me the jinaho, emma parents, and as leaders are omuwo either say busuemu, and also omuwo society mu and our community mu. And I say, mon she mumma ebufu provoke not your children, lest they become discouraged. Say, until the opposite of discouragement, so who encourage you will be who shed who when pano amanetimi be discouraged. And that is a dear betimi aye we ma ebe heti wo. Na fe bond servant, nam the stories at home because it's a very interesting word. Our count bond servant or refer to be nipa ebebusu anymore, ebi and yes naturally ya wo. But it could be said ya yakwa either say voluntarily in wababusuanim ubi or into be extending it to nipa or mabamu through adoption, nipa or mabamu even as visitors or may stay with the family for some time. People who have in the household of the family or say obey in everything those who are your earthly masters. Baby awabe 20 nipa wo hono. Papa ni mpanimfo e ho no buwo obedience, respect them. Now okay can we ochiche obi ade ma no the second part, and listen to what Paul says or say, whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for man, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the inheritance as your reward. You are serving the Lord Christ. For the wrongdoer will be paid back for the wrong he had done, and there is no partiality. Now, this is a very important phrase in the Bible. See, the household, ebusuan hoa. Adentia. If it's a someone working in the heart and the basis of it, three things. One, you are doing it against God. Say, Oba, if you are not submitting to your husband, it means you are not submitting to God. So, Bema, if you are not loving your wife, you are not loving God. Regardless, it doesn't matter. Children, if you are not obeying your parent, you are not obeying the Lord. Remember, Matthew, yes, you catch here, say, wose wo do nyame na se nipa na wote asase so no wo hu no nya niema na wo so do nyame no nkyere no a, that nyame na wo do no is useless. That is precisely what Paul is emphasizing here. But some key words I will cover has say man even more serious. Say that is the second one, number 2. Or say, knowing that from the Lord you will receive an inheritance, into there is a reward. So we in a year you get a reward. But so why in a year if you do the opposite? The word they use on the Greek word or say adikeo or say wrong. If you become a wrongdoer, so if you do the opposite, you are harming people, you are hurting people in the family, in the household, you are mistreating people in the household. Also say, oh yes, sir. Then there's a penalty. That penalty is coming from God Himself. And Wasandi also said, God is doing this out of justice. He is not being partial. Say, may say, but me say no. And that scares me when it comes to the family. It means that sometimes qualification kakrenti me kasa kire me yira na me didi na temi no. Say nyame na me kasa tia no. Me mo hwe ya me de nenam hoyi. And nyame say he is going to pay back without partiality. Obetua ye nyina ka pepepepepe. A omma obi de enko fom na obi de enko soro. Now, some people have a problem with this text, and not necessarily the Eka Huasem. Into Mamifa Breka may address one important issue. Because some people have a certain disposition, say, we'll say, so what had to year, and answer what had to ma, and now who punish you one more, we didn't say discipline, no punish you one more. You are doing this to God. God cannot be hurt. Untimi hurting nyame. Nyame cannot be hurt. And it's really interesting. Say ye was of binim wo ho a empo omo nkyerɛkyerɛ ne omo atwerɛ ne niam omo ka no sometimes no reinforce this idea, and it will surprise you. Say enam sa counter idea we say nti no obi wo ho a or hete not believing say nyame no hete no. Moyemfa break akra ne explain bibi wa ansa ne atoa so. You see, the question here is, can God be hurt? And the answer is yes. Ehin free. Ehin asasem we say free. Because who can Isaiah or can be or see nyame kra wontonko or na, enti how can God, Bible na kra kenti, how can God be hurt by what we do? Well, this is the facts. God hurts. The history, say, during the early stages of Christianity, and Greeks and also Helafobi, accepted the Christian faith. Helafo Greek, for I'm talking about during the early centuries. Yes, we were. Now, one says, so what study Greek culture, any mythology, any religion, the way almost somnia the idea. They describe God in a certain way. In fact, the best way me to describing is that they see God something like a stone. Because God is a perfectionist who doesn't respond to nipa. He doesn't respond to feelings. He can't be moved. He can't into or flat or a perfectionist say. He can't change. Okay. And they actually say, okay, this is a belief in their God. Inti say ye benyam sumwa nyame ye kan ho asem no sa na nyame netie. Inti omo describe sa nyame a omo bet nyame a ye som no nyame a oye nyankopon no. Omo de omo anyame no a standard no in a describe no. And one thing that they said, yes, say obi wo pain, obi wo emotions, obi wo suffering, ni nyina no eye bone na deba. It is a nyame ne ye nyame a oni bone dia, then he can't have pain, he can't have hurt, he can't suffer, he can't do that. And sa enchechire yi so to the extent say binumu kra no bear mo no afei the question say, can we now say yesu kra wo nyame? And it was for some time. Unim said even church fathers be an somehow they actually got somehow distracted in this kind of conversation. The word now because it's too technical. Say possibility and impossibility. Say nyame cannot bear any pains, any emotions, or need your feelings. It is because nyame to your feelings ni nyina no bone. Obi to say church father be a Thomas Aquinas. Was one person who I believe was caught up in this conversation, and he felt any the Greek if we can it could be right. I didn't hear or say God does not suffer nor experience emotions. This was the time that the world went through the dark ages. But thank God, say brebiano or yensheshe emma ne nokre ededi. We know during the mid 1500s, people like Martin Luther, it was rekindled, through the Protestant movement. And one thing that became very clear, people like Martin Luther and the protesters no call back, and they spotted, where this whole argument is coming from the Greek understanding of God. Enti omosha ase so mo tro ho asem. Unim. De ti amatombo ase cheche mu kakra firi ase ne yese. Knowing what ase nyame get hurt with niema ye no changes life. Esesa bra, esesa the way you live life. Esesa wo as a human being. And the importance so better ase ye. Enti Martin Luther nipa bebre by and the niema they started seeing the central theme, the whole point of of Christianity. Yebehu se Nyankopon can be hurt. Nyankopon can suffer. God can be hurt. I didn't know come to that conclusion. If we they saw the cross is the symbol of the character of God. The cross, asenduano, ejina homa Nyankopon, the character, the loving character of God. Just think about it for a minute. So we hear asenduano free where there is no God. There is no Christianity. There is no religion. In fact, there is no point to believe in anything because there is no life. There is no meaning to this life. The cross, which is the center point of your belief, is the whole essence of God. And almost what they summarize this into. And I've put one of these things there. The cross is the center of our belief and our religion and the whole understanding of God. Because a God who cannot suffer cannot love either. Nyamia ontimin suffer no, onyateti, onyayem sheshie, emmanipano, cannot love because the whole point of love, nipan beye bibi, ebeshew, but you go beyond adiana shown to say, that is the whole point of love. And that is the love, that is it. And it will be our problem on the whole basis and the whole principle, God cannot be hurt. The moment you take hurt and suffering out of the equation, you don't have anything to rely upon as a belief. This guy, Medina Tuhui, is one person I've come to love how he actually writes. The Queen of Faso summarizes this whole concept and say, no, can say, through the life of Jesus, and his crucifixion, which is the cross. Yesu asenduano ene nabrabono. We see who said God has subjected himself to the entire spectrum and full range of human misery. Say who said Nyankopon God awaye wodo eno wa brand ho ase ana wode ne ho ahye every punishment ewiase ebetimi de amano. The full range of atete enipa experience no. Nyankopon experience that. And not to him, maybe I mean, because you can see him how you subjected him to every single misery and punishment and suffering. What the Biash was including economic exploitation. When him say yes, no. Even a baby, a comchere any other they will say more baby that mini baby that because he was economic says here. Jesus experienced here. In the sort of poverty, munasa poverty no hetiwa, you have the hope. Say Nyame understands because wako here the full spectrum, political marginalization. And then they become politics. Yes, to uncle. Ya wo no cry as a baby. You trying to go in Egypt. You trying to because politically he was marginalized. Social ostracism, but say we could actually see every single misery and it hurts. But he had to do that out of love. And to never think, say, this concept of love and hate can be, separated. No, they are together. And may can be seen as the entire may get very interested in this part. The more what say then it tells you how to behave in your family. It tells you how to behave even as a Christian. It tells you how to live this life because it changes life. And then your life will start changing because you have a new concept. Why God allow himself to be hurt. Make us about say it changes life. Mama short story about Papa B, a friend of Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, no a young Lutheran sophomore around the 19th World War one. Now more munim mutatie, this Second World War Hontokano. Munim operation. In fact, these guys Hollywood for their movie. There was an issue be a friend of said El Valkyrie, Kofobi, Ebomoho, Pim, Officer Klaus van Stauffenberg, and then Crawford Cambo Muse, Omupeso Mukum Adolf Hitler. This was around 1944. Time one then Tokwana Kosona and any pay will be brain. In fact, date was 20th July 1994. Say Omokoye assassination Omukukuno. But unfortunately, assassination failed. See, before that time, nasa papa ye can say Bonhoeffer, na yacheno, because so we study a Nehemiah Hitler we can spend a whole time to talk about a Nehemiah Hitler and it is some of them. One abamitimu I make a one briefly. I know said Brian, I don't want to distract, but eugenics, the propaganda our the buyer say. So we bubuani nipa was certain type of a year you have to be killed. When we old person you have to be killed because he did all these things and people like Bonhoeffer couldn't just imagine say a civilized society to say Germany people are doing this and it is acceptable. No, a Lutheran so forth. Until he wrote and he did a lot of work. Now they thought that he was part of the people with all this attempted assassination. Around April, he to prison. And they told him said they were going to kill him. But 4 days before the day assassination, normal plan 4 days or true let it be. Because also what for one day and he was thinking about a wua edan anima yebekuno and juma wedie and he said he was sitting yankopon and say niema ekoso ne ade And to him, he described this, it was like a vision. He saw in himself, say, so we take the cross. That's the we nyame umpra on heti ifri more. There is nothing. Into Asamoah kaye. Let a deal train Asamoah kaye say, metibia mi woman. It is only a sovereign God who can help. Nyamia or what it or what inka or upra in obetimi amboa. You see, Asamoah wo tro ye no. Motro command a student back in a letter and espake a whole new way of life within the Western world. And because of that, a lot of people millions of people accepted God and started coming back to him. Remember, say this was about 200 or 300 years Enlightenment. People all these people say, the whole concept of God should be taken out. But this notion of the cross started bringing more people to God. Only a sovereign God can help. And not only a sovereign God can help, but only a God who can be hurt. That's what love commands, and that is to redeem. Nyamia upra ne ho ena menu mienu ena woye de wodo edemayen say meko ako redeem obi. What are we saying? All that we are saying here say, think of how God is hurt when you hurt your wife, when you hurt your child, when you hurt your family members. So ye penny and answer kola. Think more about them. And you so what are we saying? Hurt comes in so many forms. May come in so many forms, either intentional or unintentional. But the piano, Emma will hurt to yere, and I will hurt to ukra, and I will hurt to ma, and I will hurt to papa, umame. Ebia what name so. You start with the unintentional one because an ebia walk around wunim say you are hurting. Unintentional hurts. Yabusiamu, bebrewum, the dikai, being thoughtless. Thoughtless, say you don't show any consideration for the need of other people. Obi ehia asem nye we hia asem, oyire hia asem nye we hia asem. Oyire so be shatade, so shatade emfa wo ho. You don't think about her. Ukunu so obeye den, emfa wo ho. O de osori adwuma na wo ye. You are thoughtless. Do you know? They may not say it, but studies upon studies will say a family one person here thoughtless, the other person is hurt. A tete no a hano. Ebia waka but wuntie into why not say 1 minute, but it is killing. Remember, enrika cortisol and is adrenaline and wasem. Anytime was no adrenaline the fact say mikunu meyire doesn't think about me. It kills. Bine said rushing out. Oh fear. Be a who pay free fear cry, you don't care into one crack. So be friends will be sour ukunu now Debbie will transfer because they don't know where you are. Sometimes near yebi. I never knew I was hurting my wife. And then Yame catch said it is wrong. And I was surprised. They said this was actually one of the things that actually comes up a lot of times. Also paying no attention to possible consequences. Wouldn't see a tear brooch. One of the things sometimes while talk visitation pan you see some of will fear, but heating a war I'm afraid. But me project it will fear empty. The life here is killing, but yet you don't have any thoughts. You don't think about welfare. Aduane de ka ho asem enra say so your ba say wodwen say aduane na de benya wukunu wo de be punish na. Think carefully because the consequences of hunger are serious. It is the question here say, do you know when your husband or wife, do you know when he or she needs you most? Bra wo hia wo pa, wo hia wo. Do you know that? Because when life is too much, adeɛ baako a ɛma wareɛ yɛ dɛ ɛyɛ sɛ wobɛtumi ɛne obi adwene nneɛma ho. And say any power in a don't care about what you say. It hurts. But in the issue as a hurts, it is actually hurting God Himself. Unkindness. It's more than pa. Ebusuya bi wo ho a it's more than. Yesi bema we di an such year din, oba we di an such year din. Unim say, yema. And ebia yemmo omo ebo omo ho modern say, oboase ne baba experience a lot of things growing up. Ebi or the niko swimming or the niko cycling or the niko way or the niko way when you bread the man. That that is the act of kindness. Ankwala isua ifri omejane on papa ho. It is sometimes tough. It calls for a lot of sacrifice. But are you kind? Question amibusa. When a child is hurting, most of it, me papa and me mama, they are not kind. Yes, and Kwala may not get everything they ask, but they should get the important things that make them better people for the future. Silent treatment, and can be for communication. Refusing to communicate verbally with somebody who desires the communication. You don't know, but it is hurting. Mr. said the try to say something. Why? Can be. What do you say? Only time crack and say, oh, the young actually than just being quiet, because it kills the answer and the solution you want. Let's talk. And it helps. Minimum say it come under the umbrella of unintentional hurts. Ignorance. So we ignore our spouse. Now we say the mama menka, especially before no, na your more home modern. See, PNS your public places are. Sometimes you will never even know say me yirini and amikununi. Adentia because me the we are seeing the men in I am who busy. I will never be close to my wife and my husband. Yentinamum, yen kasa, you I don't know, you probably never see them talking even in public. Adentia, because there is this sense of ignorance. It is even hurting. But it is really important, because when you hurt your wife, you hurt God. The last one I make on unintentional. Bet me I can be brave, but these are the ones I wanted us to actually stick out. And so if you have this in your story, I can't want some more. Write them down and let's do something about it. Apathy. Apathy say, and yes, thoughtfulness just a men home. But apathy say, me home, so I don't know many interest room. Minim say bia wabusu em why bibi ama yira ka kiro say na de we say kra de me ka kiro say ye da de kakra me ka say ye as a winning interest, as an enthusiasm be any as a found as a yes for so say ye it hurts minia it hurts and will say reverse that and me can we say once but me can we say no nyina bom say forgetfulness refie insensitivity say as a bibi no won shut down how I be affecting nipa no hurtful teasing sometimes I grow on pet because I grown a very confronting men kind of say a hurtful selfishness and controlling persamin kuminya and enhyeso ni nyina ye niema ehete misrew say wo ye bibi say and I say what to when you na say wo dwuno life more think more about these things because you are hurting God Himself. Enya no nko yanko the next one eniema eno de ye si adwene pipa na ye hete e de na betimi aka ho asem time and social media is one of the biggest problems for this generation now, especially young families ye banono ye nyina ye risk on this yenim say social media use is becoming an epidemic in this society. Na me bompa ye say ye nyina na ye be kai say sometimes pa sa dia wo ye emwa but you are doing it Intimisrel, nyabre spending too much time on computer games. Any niyama we say any adwuma COVID-19 ba ye hu adwuma problem a de ma yen. Edi ebiem. Sameti wana me irresponsible. Irresponsible nkyere se obi asebe onim nyansa. No. You have the wisdom, but you don't have the capability. You don't have but unni the skill say obe handle a certain task. And responsibility comes through education. Nobody was born to be a very good father and a good mother, and I say a good grandfather and a good grandparent. This comes through learning. And learning ben yeka ho asemi. Said we see esua se ade we me mo ho modern enti e was mesua na me bo ho modern na metimi ye ne yie. That is what bring responsibility. It is a mete ho se me de say ya na de no say ya na ye no. Say me krom say ya na ye no Ghana sa na na ye no nti sa na ye to aso ha say ya. Then you are being irresponsible because you are not even recognizing and found say situation and women are different. A dear who has can lack of responsibility. So when to me take responsibility, then it leads to say the way you say, oh my excuses. Oh, so they will say they mean to me you. They mean to me minye bida. Yes, obianye bida, but yesuya ne people who do that they hurt their family because it leads to complaining. They be complaining. It leads to say who procrastinate, oh yebeye, ademi yo mesua ye meye, and it kills. And I know there I pray say bi ni yemu break na busua I pray say bi ni yemu ntro lion. When him said well I just need to be careful how I approach this. And ntro within your community is very high. Ebia sometimes ye niema ma abrabo ni mu ye yie ma ye ntina be part of us. But at some point ye nyina no e wose ye sire nyame na oboa yen. But then trouble akwa and then mienu a ye sisu dia se ekum aware e hete the other people e waware ni mu no. Eye entro about ye sikasem. Ene entro say ye have affair. Eno de I pray say bi ni yemu because eno de naturally say drew from a situation to crisis. But entrobia no eya dia emmoa emma ebusuano enkoso. In himself question time na bia enema but not being helpful. Obi wo ho a onya hwe ommoa hwe, And these are intentional. They come because nipa no plan say I'm not going to do anything. And I am empire boss say ye nyina na ebetimi aye nipa ye boa ye fie kakra bi ebre wo mu a mbetimi atwato ho na bia wo na wo yire ana wo kunu se muhia mbetimi aka ho asem say intentionally sometimes we avoid talking obuo ye ka ho asem preko sometimes e binu mu ye na to sabotage the family otune ho a wonte ase abusua no me yepa me sabotage me abusua ne nkoso no me ye na ma abusua ne nkoso oba person okoye bibia no we person no me person no bibia no enkoso because you want to keep things in your own way and not keeping your promises we so you cannot surprise your wife by saying say me see dan Ghana me see dan me person me be home because person me surprise a big project like that as a surprise I don't know but it doesn't sound very right. The question is, what choices do I have? Say, me a victim of hurt. What do I do? What choices do I have when my spouse hurts me? Now, if you want me to say about 5 choices, then no any year can you addition SU. So one TBBA about another these 5 choices no bompa yesi nyame. Now, one way you're montanasi, not discuss because you have hurt your wife, you have hurt your husband. wa hetino na nso ebi a okra wunim but the eyeboa payo a mesre nyame enhyama 5 things I am fen kofie ene 1 say you may decide to respond openly. May respond. Okay. If you know pray, addition may who say, and you may be as I may no a tate me, you know, maybe cry me would name until I'm going to respond to it. That is one way you can do, one choice you've got. And that response I can one seminal. You say this is when Okoneho no catch in an open way, say, Adia we me no a hetime. A hammy. It is very good. It needs to be done. A year, a buama busiano, ye shasi, het no, at a free ho. The problem with this, say, it doesn't go far enough. Some may open, no macan keke no, it doesn't go far enough. But we are declining because this is what a lot of people, even in marriage counseling, they will tell you, say, oh yeah, approach and confront it, deal with it. Of course, you're good, you deal with it, but how? That is the open response. The second choice you have, say, and with the bomb say it doesn't happen. You hide your true feelings because as I didn't makan went you. I didn't a hammy. Makam yeshia san or ye dear me. That is a choice you have. What we are saying is it leads to what we call passive aggressive behavior. And what it does near say it kills you because we started develop a certain attitude we develop a certain say sadena how you pretend say adeno no okay and remember no it doesn't help. It dampens you, it kills you. The problem with this it is going to destroy your marriage. It is going to destroy your passion. It is going to break the family apart. Only by chance, you are going to lose your children. You are going to struggle because you are just walking away from the family with this type of attitude. Yes, it is a choice, but it's not something that anybody will recommend. Say, number 3, the third choice, rejection. I'll say the second one is say you go undercover, you real. But the third person I reject, the third option, I reject, I did we say and we have 2 types. Either say we rejecting openly, I did we say why no men can and one no could be bobra, let's not say papa, na ye dear way na period and one. You have rejected them. And you don't really care about anything that echoes to be. Again, what is the problem with this? It is not God's plan. When Nyankopon Asamoah waka or say the covenant our ninipa Hebrew 13:5. Say, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Inti wa ene wo yire ukunu niema wo yenti wa reject no you are just there on paper. In person but nothing else shows some we are for God in our rejecting and God the side of the bargain say I will not reject you nor forsake you. These are important words. I was here because rejection comes in 2 forms. Or say, I will never leave you until you leave and you forsake. Leave, physical. So, that's where walk away from the house. We're free fear because you have rejected what is happening. Because you take to your hour. The may catch us say the promise, the side of the bargain, and say, go back. He will never leave you because you are physically leaving God Himself by walking away. The 2, forsake, a mental thing, a emotional thing. Say you can be sitting there with your wife, but say you have written your wife off. That is forsaking. Never in the history of this world, and that is what God expects me and you to do in our families. I didn't hear. Because the moment you start forsaking, then all bad things happens. And your bompa say, the fourth option, revenge. Okay, now bring it on. So I deal with say what they have me. Now I'm going to show you. Match that will pass me your banibi. Match that was sending a medoba brooch. Match that was sending a busuan, me a busuanity. And you are going to pay back. Payback time, revenge. I'm going to make you suffer. You see, Menka will say, you're going to make your wife suffer. You're going to make your husband suffer. So, warrior, take this important message into your marriage. Make it a commitment. Say you will never make anybody in your family suffer. Because it is like fighting fire with fire. It is never going to solve anything. Revenge establish fear. Example what happens near said that will dominance gradually you suppress and repress the integrity in the family. Oba self-worth oluzu emofrano, they see themselves as good for nothing. Oh papa and oh mommy, you don't actually see them even as human beings. And God is saying, say revenge yes, it's not going to help. Remember the problem with revenge. Two, remember this. Ebusua will go through suffering. Ubia goes through suffering. Suffering, bibia and you're comfortable. It's not comfortable. And yet, but you live with it. Some of them, you find a way to manage it. But revenge comes as abuse. Abuse is a damage. It mostly so revenge. You break it. Remember the first story we said. You break things. You say niema. And Emmanuel. Remember, God wants the best, and God doesn't want you to subject your marriage to any of this. The last option, yes, the only solution, and the reason why we started with the first, so the first doesn't go enough. Baby, first, no, this one finishes it, and then or say redeem your spouse through righteous proactive behavior. What do we mean? It means the word redeem, and this is the key phrase. Let this be on your lips. So we say I'm going to redeem you. Uknu hetewa say I'm going to redeem you. I'm going to redeem, because redeem means to say three things: you buy back or you restore something to its creative purpose. I didn't say no. What did be see the purpose? It is not an easy thing. You're talking to me and redeem, redemption. Actually, say you are going to pay. Sometimes at the end, that is what redemption means. And you pay with something, with a price, sometimes with your life. That is what redemption means. It is going to cost me something valuable. It is painful. You are going to cry. You are going to squeeze yourself. But to make things valuable. And the love language of God is seen through redemption. Inti yeka enenina ne yese. See obia why not just obey redeem na yere, obey redeem ni krono, or go through buying, paying, costing. And we see this very well. My commitment, commitment I did giant, say a free necro. Can you commit to God, say, I am going to be a redeemer in my relationship. Not any of the other four. I'm not going to be revenging. I'm not going to be threatening. I'm not going to be doing this, but I'm going to be a redeemer. Because Ubia Oye Redeemer, you are following the steps of Christ. you are restoring something back to you can restore her back to what a wife is. You can restore him back to what God wants a man to be. It takes time, it takes a lot of sacrifice, but it takes a lot of learning also to help. Is it what Jesus would do? Yes, that is what Jesus actually did. That is the legacy. Yede ma ye manom. So wo abusuamu na say wo ye redeeming husband. Unim. It means say you can look into your wife and say, unim, boni bia be yem bia me dia che wansa no waye, because means me ye boni ni bi. But together we can help each other. Psychologists actually say a moment that you say this to your wife or you share this clear statement, chances say problems in the family are going to be reduced by over 60%. Because they will come back and say, I made a mistake, but I have the trust to say, and that is what redemption does. And let's go back to where we started. The 5 people that come here, Mr. Dare. The only way Mr. Dare can have peace and make his home a sweetest type of heaven is to use the redemption plan. The choice. The first one, yes, Mr. Dare, no correct. Una kofa wo yire ifri Ghana baye wa hetel. Wa wama yedwako prison. Wa ye bibia, but remember, you also made a mistake. Mebwana. Inti sa het na wo mu no, what you need, your redemptive response, you need to buy back and restore your family from injury, because unim wo family no one man injury what hetie busuano, the family is going through hurt. Restoration, you are going to bring it back to where it was, and sana sa problem here no. And it may mean say you have to go back, you have to bear. Remember, you are under restraining orders, and it has to even be through arbitration. You have to work with people. You have to do more, and that doing more is going to cost you. It is going to cost you your pride. It's going to cost you pain. Sometimes, but you want this to be restored. You want it back. And that is what you do. And the result, so to me, you will get the freedom. And for the rest of your life, life will be different for you. Life will be meaningful to you. So you will continue to live in this hurt, and you are going to die prematurely. Why? Because you are killing yourself with the hurts that can be avoided. Akosuya, yes, and correct. You are hurt. Who can cheat on you? Anytime you think, say, how stupid am I? You are crying. You are hurt. Yes. But the redemptive response is going to mean, say, you need to buy back and restore that relationship. Because fair enough, but still maintain that love, that care, because remember, you are doing it for yourself. That is the only way you can have peace and happiness in your life. Call him and say, you know what? Yes, we'll never marry again, but I forgive you and I'm going to move on. Move on. Don't stay in that crying life and soon and say, you still have years. So worry. Establish a new home, and remember the cost. You need to work on yourself and bury your disappointment, bury your pride, bury your pain, and that will give you the lasting freedom from hurt. For the rest of your life, you are going to see life differently, and you are going to be one of the most happiest person in this world. Young person, 7-year-old. I had a student, and this student go in the life not free Rwanda. Rwanda, genocide this year. And this was about 13, 14-year-old. No, your best come over from he was, and we had this health teacher, for some reason I said, look, the day I made door akola we say the day akola kind of storage share me. This guy is going through so much. Akola 13 years, and then ujina hona ne mame, and then papa you see in the tune you shoot too no. and through some charity bin wabe pie krom ha say in life nyina in fact he has been fighting with kuratru wakonwa all these things. This is a big deal for anybody to handle. But somebody stepped in and said, I'm going to help Akolawe. Say, Unim, the day that I, as a teacher, became so happy was Akolawe say, if passing a GCS, you'll buy or bam, you say, thank you. Why? Because none of you gave up on me. I know some are difficult because I've gone through life. I've been hurt in my life. But as a tutor, now I think I can approach life again. Unim, your purpose in life, sometimes I say, give hope to Nkwala you come into contact with. Never stumble on a Kolebia and walk away. Find a way because you may be able to help Akolana. Akolana needs to go through that redemptive plan. And so what are we talking about? Boatima is hurting physically, emotionally. Sometimes you may have to speak to their parent, talk to them. Sometimes you may even have to help and bring other people in. Because Akolano as a minor needs help. He's crying for adults. Some in their life. She needs to be removed because or go through physical abuse. She needs to be restored. She needs to be taught how to forgive. Yes, for the rest of her life, she is going to die knowing says she has not been nurtured to love and to know the effect of disappointment because only parents want a life more. You need to be taught. Say, yes, this is one of the things about Bonediaba, but there is also another type of life. And she needs to be shown this redemptive power of heads. Freedom for the rest of their life. The last two, yes, Esi, and correct. Odrian said, it is unfair. You are always bitter. Why do you say you never help again? No. You know what? Redemptive power is to restore yourself back to where you were even before this. Because do you know the experience nobody has got that experience than you. It's regardless of what your employer has done, find a new job. Consider all that you have learned in that employment. Remember, yes, so much. And you are not appreciated. Now, me build up for a bigger thing. So go with that positive mind and take the opportunity, maintain a good relationship. Sometimes you may even call a woman and say, yes, I know what you did to me was unfair, but I thank you for every experience. I'm with the mommy. I know somebody who did this and he was called back. Why? Because they felt, this is a kind of character you don't get anywhere. Go and experience that redemptive response and you will kill the hurt in you. Overcome the pride, overcome that pain and do something. The cost, and you will have a lasting freedom from hurt. The last one, what would you say to Mensa? 14 years. This guy is struggling. He is hurt. So we are a young person. Can I encourage you with this? And stepfather, stepfather or they won't care for you. When you're low self-esteem and the hopeful message, yes, you are still a minor, but you can do a lot. So we are penia, be of help to them. But we are 14 years, sir. These are some of the things you can do. Or if you're a teenager, these are some of the things you can do. Write a letter and tell your stepfather, say, I still love you. I know, say, what you are doing, and these things I'm doing is killing me, but I still love you. And that may change the whole conversation. Because remember, Ubia would name send a ba and answer kola water no, I come back to say semedono. They change for some reason. Remind him of the good things he does for you and how lucky you are to have him. And bury, your state of desperation. Find a new way. Of course, there are other ways. And stealing, and then you have that peace. All these people I started with their story. See, they know. So the last thing that they should do, said they have to pray for those who are hurting them, because you know what, you cannot hate somebody you pray for. Untimi time will be a obompa man. I don't know what your story is. I don't know what hurts you are going through in your family. But there is one thing I know. Say, God would punish and repay impartially. Maybe wo hurt no eka emwa, but you can do something about it. Say bawosua, go beyond it and restore the family. And the question I made and say, are you willing to do the right thing for someone who is doing the wrong? Say you kunu. Are you willing so obey bibi aman? Obey the right thing, even if they don't deserve it. Because the last time I checked, that is what we call redemption. And that is what we are talking about. It is only that can give you peace of heart, peace of mind. And will you say to your family members, you are not meeting my needs, but I'm going to meet yours? And you pray. Can you say that to your husband? Can you say that to your wife? Wait me akasa. So ono papa nkasa, ono abusuafo nkasa. Can you go back and tell them this? Because what you would do is that you are taking the hurt away from yourself. I'm just going to leave you with a puzzle. Yes, I'm hurting. But the question here says, should you? Na de yesua ne nei intimi mo ya busua e wo Yesu din mu. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Da onyankopon ase pastor o amakwaya manyankopon de o aye adwuma na amanye. Achao se obi wa sembisa bia opese obisa e wo kwan kakra. Wait ebisa. Acha mame hana koso.
Asa binyame da wase papa. Ewo ade ene odi amanya me. Mewo emofra mi ensabi nti sa wo fremu, weja me emofra mi ensabi. Na se ye na makoma di wo mo tini, ani ye wo mode aye me no. Me benyame ase. Asema ni kwa me de menka se e ba ma me. Ti na e di ma me se me ti di wo mode aye me no. Ase me try na me ye me so mu die dia.
Mama asala ne mu ye ayi kakra. Ana menim se me nko na me tene sa.
Pastor, Pastor, what's a minute?
Aha, fe na mete ya. That's right. Yeah.
Me say me di nyame da wase papa. If you say Asamoah, me nko me fam de meka se eba maame. Me wo mofra me ensa bia me sister wonu okru nyina wo mofri mu no wagya me mofra me ensa me ne papa yi na. Eni enso ade honhom ne asode ne bia aba mofra no so ne de omude ayeye no de ne mayen se ye bepo wonum so still no omo tru omo ho. Ba me de nyame asese adesua ye aboa me because na de ne ma me. Papa ya ye ne fam de bia se waya ma panyin na tuanamo enkitwa ne mienu no so no oguso ba me fam de na de ne ma me se de wo mode ye me no na mete ya wankasa ba me de nyame ase wo adesua ya wo de ama me nei ti me nko amegye adesua no tum se ase me nti ne nyame kasa kire me nyame shraw that's it pa.
Amen mama. And nyame moye nyina emwa yen se ombesa back. I pray say you wouldn't give up, won't give up. Won't give up. Adding. In fact, say we obi a when ye den kakra wutimi tie mu pa na se wunyanti ase won ye ma bi hu na se obi ye bibi anka wunyanka betia mu na so hwe nipa ni din eden
Correct.
Eden na yetumi yesa nyame se obehira yen minim se nyame bema ahoɔden even adwena wanya koraa sɛ you won't give up and dance nyame nhyira for say won't give up but adwena wanya biara no koso abompa ye ma omo say bra bompa ye ma wo omo no empa ye no build a psychological effect on you say bompa ye no untumi ntan de obeye obiara no you are going to receive it but one day nyame bema nsa so
painful that's papa.
Amen. Minim say question ana say emwa na adwenkyere bi oho bie mu a Eda person kasa
Acho. Any question be? Acho question be any how dia. Yebema to follow to team song na man. Na pastor Shira Swaman.
Nyami umoniji nado ashe oma bria wompai body once through me ye crow Pia Jesu di dewo wo eniji kesi nyamu frabo ni dana ahufudi nuni Hampai bo ni jiwo wo eni ji kasi nyawu fudo chire wasa ni munyansa nyanu Rama yentia si jena yenga sasum diji kan yen koma bom wodomu na yadoni pena. Amen.
Ana nyame nhyira wo pa sɛ enumere bia wo de wo voice eba for de emanyame nyame enya wakoma so ade nyina ema wo pamcho my mompaye ne yanyi nhyira nyame a wo yemie no ado edoso asasi so ayeti etobre bia na eden if we say ye kan your stories na say ye dwene yɛn nsɛm ho a bebree ɛhye yɛn bebree